Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video later today. And we have a full house. We have John Crow here, yay. Lori is here, yay. In Minnesota, in the 90s. Well, guess what? Here in Vegas, it's over 100. I think it's 101 degrees now. And it is true. I mean, everyone says it. Oh, dry heat is different than um, humid heat. So 100 degrees in Vegas maybe is like 87 degrees in Florida, but that's still hot. It's still quite hot. It's like that. Sea level, prefer autumn temperatures. Winter is 40. See, I like hot. I like heat. Summer close to the hundreds. Lynette is here. Yay. The boon and bane of a continental climate. Doing laundry today. How fun. Okay, guys, how is your reading going today? For me, my cat is visiting me. For me, it's all about Dungeon Crawler Carl because I was thinking that this is going to be my new series of books to break me out of a reading slump. So I was going to just sort of save them. But book one ended on this cliffhanger. If you don't know, it's a lit RPG, literature based on role playing, gaming, and if you're into gaming, you know one of the big things is when you pick your class in your race. Well, book one ended just before Carl and Princess Donut, his cat, picked their class and race. So I had to get the second book just to figure that out. But I finished the second book. I'm going to hold off and because I do want to read the. Oh, here's the other thing. The Shelve It or Shove It book, when I was looking at the or when I was filming the videos, I didn't recognize Chuck Wendig's name. It sounded familiar, and I think I said that. But then later, when I was editing, I realized I've read Chuck Wendig before. I read his middle grade book, Dust and Grim, which I thought was very good. I think it was in my top 10 middle grade reads. So I'm very excited to see or to experience his adult literature. But the other book I had skipped, and I had brought this up just to show you, was Joe Abercrombie, excellent writer, one of my favorite writers. And I kind of wanted to pick the book for Shelve It or Shove It, but the cover was so awful that I was like, I can't pick this. It's a terrible cover. But it was funny because when I was going back to editing and I was like getting the blurb, they changed the cover already. So let me show you. This is the new cover for The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. If I had seen that cover, it probably would have picked it for Shelve It or Shove It. Because these other covers, if you see these little devil covers next to it with the skull, with the can, I just am not into it. Just was like, meh. But this new cover, see if I can I blow that up? I mean, look at that cover. I mean, it's a new series, so I probably wouldn't have been happy about that. But anyway, I thought that was funny. Oh, for makeup today, this is my second day in drag because yesterday I filmed a makeup tutorial, which I never do, but because I got Wilma Fingerdo's new palette, which is sort of a pride palette by Beauty Moon Cosmetics. And so I'll be using this today too. And it's kind of a weird color story. because the colors don't really go together, but they have these, like, these shimmers. Because I like if I do a purple, I like doing, like, different shades of purple, but this black is supposed to be able to mix with the, colors to deepen them. And the look yesterday, I was trying to go with this is like the trans flag down this way and the bear flag this way. So I was trying to use this, green, but I mean, not this green, this, blue. I was calling it trans blue, but it's called, the ships at sea because Wilma always says, "Sweet Marie and the ships at sea." And this is Sweet Marie down here. But, I really am impressed by these shimmers. So I was thinking about trying to use this purple with this orange shimmer because I've never or this orange shimmer because I've never seen anything quite like this. So anyway, I'm sure you guys don't care, but it's the what we're doing. About 50 here. Well, Lynette, during your summer, because Lynette's down under, how hot does it get there? Because I always imagine quite hot. Are is that Celsius? Because we're all Fahrenheit over here. My wife had a melanoma removed yesterday. Yipes, John, she's resting now. Your poor wife, she seems to be going through it this past year. In the middle of Sister Sinner, a bio of Amy Semple McPherson. Is she that evangelical healer that was or something and she disappeared? Or I think of someone else. Still on John, you've been on that for like 3 weeks. Reading Sweet Tooth by Ian McEwan, a lighthearted romantic spy thriller set in 1972. Huh. When was it written? Is it I don't know Ian McEwan. Is he like a contemporary writer? I'm reading Stephen King's new book, Never Flinch, only 10% through, but good so far. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Stephen King. Cthulhu by Gaslight, 7th edition. Ooh. Does the biopsy say Never Flinch is a Holly Gibney story? Holly Gibney. Not sure I recognize the name. I spent a good part of the week making a scenario about what would to Tasmania after a worldwide global collapse. In our summer, we usually get over 100 very occasionally. 50 was in F. Okay. So it is hot over there. Is it humid though? I lost track of the conversation. A movie about Artie 2-1. She's doing well, Rose. She's doing well. Rose has to wear a pressure bandage for a couple days, and then we have to keep it clean. Okie dokie. Let's just moving on up. Okay. Using Wilma Fingerdo's makeup palette, we're going to start with the purple. Ok. I want to ombre it out with another shade of purple, but let me just going over it with white. Party. So I went with this purple. Now I'm doing this white. I'm in makeup tutorial mode, which is why I'm telling you guys. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Didn't mean to cuss. I just grabbed purple by accident. Boy, that was a mistake. Okay. Uh, Holly Gibney first appeared in Mr. Mercedes. Last book got by King was in the one about the time travel. The Kennedy assassination. DK Moon is here. I hope everyone is having a good weekend and getting some reading done. Yes, DK, I finished this morning the second Dungeon Crawler Carl book, but I'm going to hold off on getting the third one until I'll. It's hard though, that those books are so good. Tasmania would revert to a medieval existence, but we would have good products to trade with New Zealand, but not much to get back from them. I guess the big thing is food, crop production, and if you're not vegetarian, cattle and livestock. Not with mainland Australia. Our main exports would be opium. What? Tin and copper. Tasmania become an independent country. Mainland Australia would be stuffed in most situations. Worldwide collapse. Look at various ways it might be caused. Why are you doing this, Lynette? Are you talking about a futon book? Got a YouTube vid on Chinese warships. Oh, that's interesting, John. Circumnavigating Australia. I've also spent this week following Australia's big murder trial. Ooh, that sounds exciting. I haven't heard about. Don't know what's going on there. We have so many murders here. I can't keep track. The mushroom trial. Sounds interesting. Okay, so I put down the white. So let me see if this purple now will. Not really. Okay, I'm going to go in with this pink. Just see. This brush. I would like a little bit of variation. There we go. Righty. This will have to do. The mushroom is on trial? Very funny, Frank. Oh, someone poisoned their family with a killer mushroom. Erin Patterson is accused of killing 3 of her husband's relatives by feeding them death cap mushrooms. That is wild. First known case in the world of murder by mushrooms. Wow. That should be a movie. Big problem with ECC is the price of the books if you want the actual book. I stay away. I love mushrooms. Sure, it won't take long for a book to come out about it. Lex is here. Hey, Lex, thank you for joining. Good news is DCC audio versions are great. Okay. I'm going to go in with black to try to deepen around. On ombre. Okay, going back into the purple to try to we'll say these pigments are very strong. Okay. Oh man, these are not symmetrical. Oh well. Hey Lex, happy birthday! Tomorrow turns 43. You are still a youngster as far as some of us are concerned. So happy birthday. 43 is a good year. Hey Lori, happy birthday to you too. The reason we would have opium to trade is because Tasmania products produces 40% of the world's legal opium. I did not know that. Gather ye rosebuds while you can. But we'd have to produce more as milk of poppy, as we wouldn't be able to refine it any more than that. An anthropologist has hypothesized that human consciousness was expanded by the consumption of certain, I've heard that before, by certain mushrooms. Have you ever tried opium? Back in college, I know you're asking Lynette, but I'll answer. Back in college, um, I was smoking a lot of marijuana back then. And I think there was something that was supposed to have opium mixed in with the pot. I mean, I don't, it just smelled like sort of perfumed, but who knows? Working on this scenario has taught me many interesting things. Never had opium, or most drugs for that matter. The only opium I've tried is legal medication. Otherwise, I would never even smoke pot. I was bad in college. So it's something like that. The Oracle of Delphi was high. Any happy returns, Lex? Okie dokie. We're just going to muddle through this. I'm just cutting the black. Okay. How would Tasmania fare with extreme sea level rise? It's an interesting question. I have no idea how high they are above sea level. Got gently fentanyl in it. It's got gently fentanyl in it now, Daisy. Okay. Enough about drugs. Okay, that just defined the eye shape, and now I'm going to go in and cut the crease. Scenarios I looked at were pandemic, eruption of Yellowstone, nuclear war between China and USA, and a few more. Oof. Can you tell me more about the eruption of Yellowstone? Because I vaguely remember hearing that it could cause like a big ash cloud over the world. But can any volcano do that? Really big volcano? Tasmania would do very well with sea level rises. Good to know. Maui would become two islands. Makes sense. Even if the poles melted completely, Hobart would only be 25% underwater. Wow, you guys must be high. Has anyone visited Yellowstone? I did when I was a kid. I remember seeing Old Faithful. I remember waiting. I mean, it could just be through the lens of a child. It felt like we had to wait forever to see it. Uh, Gosh. The Midlands, where much of our food is grown, would be totally safe. That's one thing about America is we have a lot of agriculture. In the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted, or if the volcano supervolcano erupted, goodbye USA. Ooh, wow. When I was in Yellowstone area as a kid, the roads were still closed with ice and we couldn't visit. Aw, I always, again, lens of the kid. I was excited when we went to Yellowstone because I kept thinking of Jellystone, the, the home of Yogi Bear. Most of Europe would suffer famine, though maybe Iceland might survive. The last time Yellowstone erupted, an average of 60 feet of ash was laid in the Atlantic coast. Wow. Wow, 60 feet of ash. They're watching it all the time now, unless Trump has defunded. Yeah, it's probably defunded. Forget about it. The southern hemisphere would cope better, especially Tasmania and New Zealand. Who was around for when Mount St. Helens erupted? That was a big thing because we were living in California at the time. And it was a big deal. Okay, I'm going to start with a little bit of white. Then I'm going to go with this white. And now, I don't know why I'm telling you this. Now I'm going to this orange and I want to top it with this makeup party. I did a look yesterday, I was saying that looks very Mardi Gras, but this one does too. Okay, now yesterday I did this, gray in the center of my eyes or the corner of my eyes, and I didn't really like that, and I just don't want it to be all orange, so I'm gonna do this queen. Okay, now I'm going to go in with this, sherbet. How do you pronounce that? Because it's always spelled differently than uh, it looks. I always pronounce it sherbet, but it's shebert something? I don't know. Okay, this is the orange. Okay. 1980, I remember the Mount St. Helens. I remember Mount St. Helens. Carter said it was the worst thing he ever saw when he was in his plane. And I said, really, Jimmy? The end of civilization by the poles melting is the most survivable scenario. Oh, interesting. Most of the world would cope, except those on low sea level. Third of the mountains was blown away. The whole thing was caught on video when it blew. Absolutely astonishing. It was an eruption in the 18th century. Year was out the summer. Okay, so if St. Helens was in 1980, then I was in Maryland. I wasn't in California, so I was wrong. That was also my timeline is screwed up, but that was also for talking about Jimmy Carter when 3 Mile Island. Remember that? Because I remember my father, who was very paranoid, was like, we were all the way down in Maryland, but he was like planning if we would have to evacuate because if a nuclear cloud made it down to Maryland. Yeah, I thought Mount St. Helens was in the 70s for some reason. Okie dokie. This eyeliner's running out. Okay. Recall some old guy in his cabin refused to evacuate. He died instantly. Eesh, that's St. Helens. One of the men who recorded St. Helens died protecting his camera. Wow. I remember the old guy refusing to evacuate. My wife wants me to take me out for lunch for an early birthday gift. Congratulations, Lex. Have a great time. Bon appetit. SNL had a sketch with Carter at a Three Mile Island. It was hilarious. I wish I remembered that. I'm sure I saw it. I was a big fan of SNL back in the 70s. It was in 79. Then he had the Iran debacle. Yeah. I have memories of the Iran hostage thing. One of Dennis E. Taylor's books, Yellowstone erupts and some people escape to a parallel Earth. I love it like that, on which an asteroid never wiped out the dinosaurs. Interesting. I remember SNL skit about China syndrome. Not sure if it was an asteroid, but people never evolved on the parallel world. The Y files did a few reports of people passing in and out of parallel Earths. He got distracted and turned into a giant when a woman they sent to mop up the water got the radiation, became huge. Huh. Keyboard effed up. Yeah, back in the 50s, 60s, when radiation was just sort of a new thing, I guess, in the public consciousness, we got some wild stories of what could happen with the well, most notably, I guess, Godzilla, but like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman and giant mantises and okay, so this is the eyes done. Oh, I had this. They sent me this. I guess it's a free gift or something. I don't know. But when I got Wilma's bundle, and it's just this glitter gel. I'm just kind of. Ooh, why is this? Can't really see it, but maybe when I film, you could see it. But it's just this sparkly stuff. Okay. Okay, eyes are done. No, they're not. Forgot to do the under eyes. Should I? Okay. Yeah, that took way too long. This interesting case was a gentleman who flew into the USA from Japan on a passport for a country between Spain and France that did not exist. They took him into a secure room for questioning. What are we talking about? Parallel worlds? What was the TV show about parallel Earths? There's been a couple. When the authorities went to interview him, the room was empty. It sounds like the Twilight Zone. Bye, Lori. I didn't see you leave. Oh, you're off to do laundry. Yay. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm just going to move on to lips. And I'm just going to do a red lip. I'm not going to do anything fancy. Okie Oh, Sliders. Yeah, I remember that show. Started off good. Spanish, French, and Basque. Some of the real little countries of Europe have interesting histories. Aren't sliders something you can? Yep, little hamburgers. There's also a show about sliding into other dimensions or other worlds or something. I just vaguely remember that show. Oh, I got Apple TV mostly for Murderbot, and I really like Murderbot. And I'm kind of impressed with Apple um, having so many sci-fi shows. But I tried out um, a couple of episodes of Time Bandits. So it's I guess based on the movie or inspired by the movie or reboot of the movie. But the bandits aren't all little people. They're like the leader is Lisa Kudrow, and I like Lisa Kudrow. But and we've talked about this before. There's something that Americans miss. There's some difference between British comedy and American comedy that just doesn't quite translate because Terry Gilliam, who did the Time Bandits, there's just something about that dry, sort of ironic sense of humor that you see in the British shows that they kind of tried to do in the American version, but it wasn't the same. But all that said, it wasn't that bad, the Time Bandits show. I think it was designed for kids. So I'm gonna try. I did this yesterday. I used too much. I'm just gonna try a little bit of this Wilhelmina. Okay. I think we're just in the home stretch. Oops. Oh, John Rhys Davies played the professor in Sliders. Is that the guy that was Gimli in Lord of the Rings? Hear about CBS thinking of shelving Star Trek. I mean, I'm such a huge Star Trek fan, but I just did not get into the reboots as much as I thought I would, except for Picard. I'm off to see the last step. Oh my gosh, you haven't seen it, Lynette? Oh, I was going to talk about that too. We could talk about that next week because I was shocked. And it's made me excited for the next season. For years, no. Yeah, Star Trek. See, I disagree. I think if they just went back to the basics, to Gene Roddenberry's vision, I think they could reboot it because British and English people are warped. British sense of humor. If Disney pulls out BBC, might put Doctor Who on hiatus. No. Yeah, needs to take a break. I found the Christmas specials of Doctor Who about the time hotel and the origin of Star of Bethlehem cringeworthy. I didn't mind that one that much, but I can see what you're saying because they're usually not as overtly religious as that one was. US version of The Office was a hit, but I think they had to change some stuff. Yeah, I think yeah, I don't know why The Office worked. I think it was a little bit more slapstick than the English version, and I'm saying that because the British humor, I mean, the prime example is maybe the best sitcom ever in terms of writing and pacing is Faulty Towers. Um, but it's that sense of class, I guess, of trying to be putting on airs is like a different class, or I'm not sure what it is, but it doesn't translate to American comedy because we just don't have that same basis. But the anxiety, the building up of anxiety of that was in The Office, and there is that in the U.S. version, but somehow they made it more slapsticky, which made it work here. I don't know if I'm making any sense. My favorite American sitcoms are just really absurd, like Third Rock from the Sun, that just aren't that don't try to be like serious, like dramedies. Like a lot of the sitcoms just tend to go in this dramatic direction, and when they're just silly, I think that's when it works best. Have you ever seen a news radio? I didn't watch it when it was like being aired, but I watched it in reruns when I came home from work. I would like it was on at like 11 o'clock when I got home. It's just pure silliness. Okay. And I think the look is done. So let's put on a wig. Since I knew I was doing purple today, I got a lot of purple jewelry. I'll have to find a new show to spend a couple hours a week watching, though I still have to finish Renegade. Nell, she's a high woman who is aided by an elf who can give her superpowers. Oh, I think I saw that. Is that the Disney thing? Define elf. Well, maybe he's a fairy. Uh, he's a very little flying human-like creature. Or a sylph. No, I saw that show. It was fun. I mean, I avoided it, and you might not want to because you don't like their corporate policies, but I have been surprised with the Apple show. Okay. And put this over here. Okay. The wig I got with the butterfly wig. Let me zoom out. At least Apple is continuing with their DEI. It feels like a lot of the shows that were greenlit were like people with the same taste as me, or maybe from my generation, like Time Bandits. That's definitely like an 80s thing. A lot of the geeky sci-fi shows are books we grew up with, like Foundation and well, Murderbot is new. They rebooted Amazing Stories, which I don't know. It's interesting. There was a show you would hate, Lynette. It's called Schmigadoon. It's about this couple that gets trapped in a land of basically they get trapped in a musical. Like this fantasy town that's a musical. Okay. Okay. So this is the final look, and we did the whole thing using the Wilma Fingerdo palette. Wilma Fingerdo palette using mostly, well, we did this purple, the pink, and this orange. Okay. And oh, this week I'm going to be releasing um, a tag video. I was tagged by Bookish Chaz, and I haven't done a book video, and I think it's been years since I've done a book video. I mean, a tag video. So it's about 6-course meals. So books related to, well, you'll see. And yeah, and that's it. So musical sounds horrible. Yeah, I know you don't like musicals, and I mean, it's a 30-minute sitcom, it's kinda cute, it has some, like, SNL, actors in it, but if you don't like musicals, you would hate this. Thank you, Lynette. Okay, guys, well, um, I think I will be here next week, I don't see why not, and, um, and I love this palette. So if you're in the market for a makeup palette, think about getting Wilma Fingerdew's Beauty Moon palette, and I'll be if I can, because if you do a makeup tutorial, it's a lot longer than I'm usually used to editing, but I don't need to do any green screens or any fancy stuff. So hopefully, I'll get the um, tutorial out sometime this week, as well as the book tag video. Okay, guys, thank you once again. And as usual, may all the books you read be blessed.